And I've always been saying this, that this kind of a scripted thing I've never been able to do, but of course it's a new session. We have to start from there. So thank you very much for being part of it, but I won't let you come in right now. First, I have to put up what we're doing. And of course, I like to put people on the spot. So of course, Anna, you will tell us whatever you know about the conference, whatever you know, not a problem. You have to tell us that, but okay, please, you tell us about the conference.
Wonderful. All right. Well, the marital mediation for
no,
a better...
The topic is later. First, we're talking about the conference only. Okay, maybe I put people on the spot on this. Conference started on 18th May, goes up till 30th June. We started it on Ken Cloke's birthday, which I celebrate, which I've started saying now we celebrate as World Mediators Day because of the person that he is. And of course, Anna is going to talk about marital mediation for a better adoption of the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. That's quite a topic, Anna. That's quite a topic. But she will tell us everything about the agenda as much as she can. She's going to do that. So Anna, from here onwards, it's about you telling us about yourself and of course about the topic. Please, all yours.
Perfect. All right. Well, about myself, I live in Utah in the United States. I was born in Mexico, so I'm here by marriage. And I am a mediator, family mediator. So I practice family mediation. A lot of divorces are going on. And for that reason, I was interested on this topic. And so I practice private mediation in the state of Utah. And this agenda, the 2030 agenda for the UN, really caught my attention because it is a really good goal what they're trying to do. And well, the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, an action plan in favor of people, the planet, and prosperity, which also intends to strengthen universal peace and access to justice. And well, you know, when I read this part, I'm like, wow, this is quite the goal. That would be great. The agenda sets out 17 objectives with 169 goals. You know, it's an integrated and indivisible nature that covers the economic and social and environmental spheres. And so the new strategy will govern global development programs for 15 years by adopting it. And so we only have 8 years left on this proposal, and the states and the United Nations committed to mobilizing the necessary means for its implementation through alliances focused especially on the needs of the poorest and the most vulnerable countries. And so when I look at this, I'm like, wow, let's see what they're trying to do. You know, they're trying to help all the poorest countries and more vulnerable countries to have the basics, which is a roof over their heads and food and the well-being, you know, health in that country. So the reality of our lives in this world is that inequality has always existed, isn't it? And the wars and conflicts between regions, countries, and monarchies have been to maintain power and mark inequality. And so it has been established almost from the beginning of this world. The 2030 agenda is, you know, that inequality has been established since the beginning of this world. And so the agenda, the 2030 agenda, is really challenging the world to keep more equitable, you know, more equitable conditions to the minimum necessities in the world, that is food, the roof over your head, and the disappearance of poverty. Those are the three more basic things that they want. Of course, there are 17 objectives to achieve. And you could read them if you go and read all this agenda. But my proposal for this is about families. And so you know, how can something be achieved that has not been achieved in hundreds of years, in just 15 years? And now we have 8 years left. Too little time to do something that hasn't been done in hundreds of years. That it is possible, it is. That it will not be easy, it will not be easy. But in my opinion, and this is just very personal, I believe that there has to be less politics less injustice, less arrogance, and a mental change. A mental change in thinking that I'm not better than you and that you're not better than me, which is actually the truth, isn't it? When we're born, we're all born the same way and we will die and we will go the same way. We have realized that a position, money, or knowledge does not make us better than anyone else in this world. Because if we're not healthy, we have nothing. So this agenda is really important. We have seen it, with people that are very important, like Steve Jobs. We know his story. He had all the money, the knowledge, the position, a company, and could not buy his health. So we see that without health, there's nothing. That if we do not care of ourselves and eat well and get rid of arrogance and that I am better than you and I will eat better than you, and you think that, you're not worth it, but I am, it is something that will not lead us to anything good. So this agenda of making the whole world change on that and eradicate poverty, I think it's a great goal. And making the change to say today, I will help you and you will help me tomorrow, has a meaning and a future greater than what we are experiencing today, where we see all sorts of inequalities and the self-sufficiency of each country, and that its population enjoy a healthy and full life with everything necessary within the reach of each person. How marvelous would that be? Without making countries, thinking of socialism and communism. We know that it doesn't work because we have seen that only harms the people who experience it. When we really give freedom of expression and freedom to build and progress, always keeping in mind the good of oneself and our neighbor, it's the most important thing. There's really nothing left for this world but to advance in solidarity of progress and love thy neighbor. Of course, there will always be opposition, envy, and narcissism. We will always have that. But who decides that? We decide it. Nobody else will decide it for us. So you will decide if you will start thinking about the good of your neighbor as well as your own good. We see that in countries where respect for others is important and is part of their culture to respect others, the country has less poverty and people are happier. So I am all about respect, and well, a lot of people don't give about having an impact in this world. They don't think that that's important. But if you have children, you will always worry about the future and you will wonder what will happen to them in their older age. And I think this is a great proposal from the UN. As a professional mediator specializing in family mediation, I see that I have work to do, since the nucleus and most important institution is the family. Nothing more important in this world, isn't it? I mean, the family and its incredible strength that is in our world. If the family is neglected, as it is happening in recent years, where divorces, separations, and apathy towards marriage abound, we're in a big problem. Emotional problems, psychological problems, and a big problem of apathy. Everybody's on their phones, everybody's on the computer. We don't interact as a family anymore. Like the phrase that is used a lot. I don't care. I am happy like this. I think, and of course, living alone is much easier, but I think at the moment that we think that we don't care is a moment that the problem is not going to get solved. We have to think about our neighbors. And well, this is my personal opinion. And because I do this all the time, I talk about families. And so marital mediations offers a series of significant benefits to save marriages in crisis. And at the same time, a better family saves a family and then saves a society within where you live and in the world. So that's why I think marital mediations, and we as marital mediators, family mediators, provide couples with a safe and structured environment to express their concerns, needs, and emotions. The mediator helps facilitate effective communication in promoting respectful dialogue and active listening between both parties. And so we're talking about solutions and conflict resolutions. And so this fosters mutual understanding and the ability to address issues constructively. So if we teach families this, and if we teach children in the schools about mediation, it can expand to a global change. And so when we do that, it will focus on finding mutually acceptable solutions to problems and conflicts in the relationships, whatever it might be, friends, partners, parents. Mediators help couples identify underlying issues, explore different perspectives, and generate solutions, those options for those solutions. This collaborative problem-solving approach helps overcome disagreements and find compromise that meet the needs of both parties. And so if we want to accomplish those three main things, eradicate poverty, have a roof over the head of everybody in this world, and have food on the table, and everybody that lives in this world, how better we would be. Marital mediation not only tries to solve immediate problems, but also to strengthen the relationship in the long term. So if we start that in the family circle, in the family nucleus, then we can, it would become a wonderful, a snowball that it will just get bigger and bigger. As couples work together on conflict resolution, they develop more effective communication skills and learn to listen to each other. This helps create an environment of trust, respect, and empathy, which I want to put an emphasis on these three things: trust, respect, and empathy, which contributes a greater intimacy and emotional connection in the relationship, which is not just for the mom and dad, but with the children and their friends, and it just keeps going to everybody around them. So marital mediation empowers couples to make decisions together, empowers families to make decisions together, rather than letting issues become sources of resentment and division. Mediation offers a structured process for making informed and consensual decisions. And this makes it so everybody is important in that relationship. Everybody is important in that society. Everybody is important in the world. This helps to avoid the feeling that one party has more power, or one friend has more power, or my boss has more power in controlling the relationship at work. This fostering greater fairness and mutual satisfaction is what I'm all about, what I'm talking today, which will help with the Agenda 2030 to make us feel equal and not controlling towards anybody that doesn't feel that is treated equal. Marital mediation provides a neutral and safe environment where couples can constructively address their issues by having an impartial and trained mediator. So when you teach a couple how to treat each other with respect and equality, and the same goes to the children and the children of our children, it will create, in reality, a great society and a great world. Of course, there's always going to be the opposition, like I mentioned before. But if we have those solid teachings in our society, I think as mediators, we have something here that in reality, you don't see it nowadays. So one of the most prominent benefits of marital mediation, it is the ability to preserve marriages in crisis. And at the same time, I'm thinking it's preserving our society, our immediate neighborhoods, and it's preserving our countries and our world by providing a structured and effective approach to addressing issues. I mean, if we had used mediation for all those wars that we have had in the past through the families and through the countries, I mean, we would not have wars. And we would not have that much inequality. It's always going to exist, but it's going to be less if we start teaching this. It is important to note that each marital situation is unique. Each partnership each relationship, and the results of mediations may vary. In general, however, marital mediation offers couples a valuable tool to address challenges and conflicts in their relationships, giving them the opportunity to find mutual satisfying and empowering solutions, and to agree to disagree, and to be okay with it, to teach our children the same thing, to learn to agree to disagree, but not fight and not oppress other countries, and saying that, okay, we're just better than that. And so it is important to teach our children equality, because it's just going to go like a big, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a big virus of goodness in the world, where we can say, you know, we're all equal. We're just all equal. We don't have to say, well, I don't care. This is my life and I don't care about anybody else. I think that the Agenda 2030 that they're proposing, it's a great agenda that is going to be so hard, yeah. But I think if we can become conscious of what's going on in the world and change it, I believe that we can do a lot of changes in what is happening right now, you know, the inequality and the poverty that we already see. So anyways, that's all.
That's it, and that can't be it. Actually, the thing that you've of course emphasized is on inequality, and the most unequal equation is the United Nations. It's something that when it starts from there, today, if you look at the permanent members of the Security Council, who are those permanent members of the Security Council? I mean, you have China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, and the United States. No, nothing from Africa, nothing from South America. India being the largest, I mean, in terms of the most populated country in the world, not represented in the Security Council. So a body like that, which is unequal by itself, and I mean, there's total inequality there. For that, that's a bad starting point for an organization. I just feel that.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I mean, the concept is good. We'll discuss the concept. But from now on, I'm just thinking, keep the United Nations out. You just have a group of people who have their vested interests in keeping wars going, it seems, because they must be the largest arms manufacturers in the world. I mean, I'm not getting into that because I don't get into who's the largest arms manufacturer and what's happening. But I understand that they have vested interests in that. So
Right.
for them to, are they in really, I mean, is it really a body which is working to bring peace in the world, or are they vested interests controlling that body or these people? I mean, how can these few nations decide what's going to happen, who's going to bombard whom, and all that? So I will leave the United Nations out. We just look at the aspect of what they put out. So in relation to the sustainability development goal 16, SDG 16, there is a discussion later in the conference on that. But only thing that we need to discuss is that when they talk about access to justice, because the goal 16 says promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. That part, I think we have to discuss access to justice. Whether mediation is access to justice, because a lot of countries that discussion happens, whether that mediation is access to justice. And of course, I have my views, but I won't put my views out. What do you think mediation is access to justice?
I think it is. I think it is. And what you're saying about, yeah, it really focusing on equality. That's what I bring it up to you and to discuss it, because I think I would like to hear the opinions also of Seville. You know, to me, I could see that there's a lot of injustice. And so that's why I think that it is, when they say 15 years, it's like, wow, in 50 years, they want to accomplish this when in hundreds and hundreds of years has not been accomplished. because injustice has been there, inequality has been there. So what is our what is our part in this world? How do we put our footprint on this world as mediators to help equality and take out injustice? So
that's what I'm saying. Because you're starting from a body where there is injustice. So the body itself, that what happens is that everything, good things filter down and bad things also filter down. And this seems to be what the situation is. But Seville definitely has a viewpoint. She definitely has an interesting viewpoint. Yes, Seville, what is your viewpoint?
In Turkey, at the beginning, when mediation was put as a prerequisite of litigation, it was considered to be something that prevents people from going to courts. So it was seen the opposite. They were saying we don't want mediation because it prevents us from going to courts. The Supreme Court decided there is nothing prevented here. It's not an alternative. You can still go to courts. And it doesn't take too much time. It doesn't take too much money. It is something you just try and you may get positive results there. It was taken to Supreme Court even twice because there were two other legislation similar to each other, and they were taken twice to the Supreme Court, and it was decided in the same way again. So now I think people should be asking for mediation as an opportunity presented to themselves. What I would be thinking that it is an opportunity and people should be asking for this opportunity to be available for them. This is my wish that in the future they will be asking it to be presented for all as an opportunity.
Because look, I have my radical views on this. For me, the concept is if two people sit in Seville's living room and ask Seville to mediate something and they settle something, if we say this is access to justice, then we are fooling people. This is their process. You're not giving them any justice. Justice, like you're saying, the Supreme Court interpreted it. The point is that in your own case, I mean, if you have a conflict of interest, the judiciary has a conflict of interest when it promotes mediation because they are inefficient. They are definitely the ones who can't handle what the work that they have. So they want to push it on mediation. So definitely they're going to interpret it in favor of, yes, this is access to justice. Where is the issue? This is not a time-consuming process. Oh, it is free. What they do is they promote it as free. What does it do? It affects us mediators. It affects mediation that it gets connected to free. So this is the logic that the judiciary will keep giving because obviously they can't do their work and they don't want to be questioned because they want their whatever caseload to go out. So I just feel that that part of it, I think, goes into a direction which is totally their own. Again, I'm using the term vested interest. They have a total vested interest in pushing this agenda that this is access to justice. And now what justice have I got? I settle the matter sitting in my living room with someone. What is this concept of trying to push it as justice? I mean, the judiciary is denying justice. Like I keep saying, justice delayed is justice denied. So I think this whole linkage that has been created, that mediation is access to justice, we have to have a good debate on it. No one is pushing that point out. So this time in general, I decided that I will not put topics. I will not create any topics. If someone comes up with a topic, I will take it up. But this is a topic that we need to discuss.
So mediation doesn't say that this is to bring justice. They will be their decision. It may be just or not. If they decide on something, it is that. But mediation doesn't prevent people from going to courts as well. And courts. Okay, we say that courts, of course, decide for something, but in the larger vision, does that mean justice as well? It may be even questioned because courts decide on something specific for the demand they bring to that court, but their interests and may be much larger than that.
what I do, I mean, when if you start me off on this discussion, I'll go into this. We'll stick to what basically what Anna's wanting to discuss, and from I mean, the agenda is a good agenda, and of course, I mean, let's put up what all is part of that. Let's just put that up there, and let's see if good thoughts. I mean, good thoughts, but we have to take it up. We don't expect the United Nations to do too much about it. So good stuff. End poverty, nice. How, but only thing is, like I keep saying, let's look at every of these goals and then look at the way the United Nations functions and what the Security Council decides in a lot of things. Is it, how does that fit into what they want to do, want to put out? So there's some good things that you put out, but at the back of it is a totally different agenda. That agenda is a problem. This is a nice agenda to put out there. So I mean, all this ends if you do not fall into the trap of all these the arms industry. You don't fall into that trap. But once you're there, a lot of all this poverty ends if you obviously are not letting the arms industry decide what the world does. So, but otherwise, good stuff. I mean, all good thoughts.
Still, the most relevant one is the 16th goal, the mediation.
Yeah. And that discussion, we are going to have that SDG 16 discussion. We'll take it up there also, access to justice. Because Anna did not think that the direction of the discussion will go into this.
No, that is fine. I mean, to me, I think for me, I really promote family mediation and marital mediation, using the private practice, and Seville was mentioning, and I can't hear very well her mic.
Yeah, it's a problem.
But
I told her, yeah.
But what I understood is she was talking about doing more marital mediation before people going to court. Is that right? Is that
what she was when I said about the access to justice part? So she said that courts in Turkey have said that mediation doesn't prevent people to come into courts, and it doesn't take time, and it doesn't cost anything, or maybe cost whatever. So that's what she was trying to, this was my discussion on the access to justice, but that's a long discussion. I won't take it up here. So because those are issues that have been created by some interpretations, by some courts trying to justify what they are trying to do. I mean, of course, I'm saying it has to be debated, so we won't go there. But yeah, this is what she was talking about, because she believes that the courts are, I mean, mediation is access to justice. Yes, Seville? Do you believe that, Seville?
I don't want to be misunderstood with this. First, because in Turkey it was taken to the Supreme Court, saying that mediation was something that prevented people from going to court and finding justice. So it was seen something that bad at the beginning. Then the Supreme Court said it doesn't prevent people from going to court. You can still go to court and look for some justice there, but you can as well, at the beginning, you can try this case. It is a case. It doesn't aim to replace the courts. Okay. It's not a substitute to it, but it is an alternative way you can try at the beginning, but then you can also go with it as well. But as I say, when we look at where we come now, it also become to be seen as an opportunity, not just as a case between the courts, but it's an opportunity itself that people now start to seek for the opportunity to apply to the mediation, because they now start seeing the results, the positive results.
Yeah, and I think, if I catch it right, I think that I understand a little better. I think, in my opinion, I think educating the people about the mediation, because a lot of people have no clue. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but a very close friend saw my post in Facebook, and she goes, "Wait a minute, Anna, don't say that you're a mediator. They're going to think that you're talking to spirit. Better to say that you are a psychologist." And I'm like, "I'm not a psychologist. I am a mediator. I'm a professional mediator. I don't talk to spirits." And so because the mediator word in Spanish is connected, and then also in English, it kind of blends to be somebody that speaks with spirits. And so I think if we educate the people about what mediation, conflict resolution is all about, and the benefits of them making a decision and not having a judge decide for them, in the marital, in the divorce mediation part, I think it is empowering people to say, "Oh, wait a minute, I am willing to pay somebody to do this for me instead of paying the court." And the court at the same time saves money because, they're saving millions of dollars when people go to mediators here in the United States. So there's a study where it says that mediators really, when they help divorced people, or all the contentions that are going, all the motions on, they are not agreeing on this and they're not agreeing on that, is saving the government a lot of money. So it's good for the government that we promote mediation. It is good for us that we promote paid mediation, not free mediation. Paid mediation, to say to the world, "Hey, you have a problem with a country here and you have a problem with a country here, and there's two companies." I think we can resolve it a lot faster than if they go to international courts. So I think it is in a way, our job to tell the people, "Hey, this is what mediation is all about." And mediation.
Which is what has to happen now. Yeah.
That's what you're doing, Vikram.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, that look, that World Mediation Circle and the grassroots movement, that is what it's all about. Let's go there. Let's start that culture from there. And then that culture through the schools and communities grows. And then you will see that effect on a global level also. But these are people. I mean, people, doesn't matter if you're fighting for a territory in a particular part of the country, or you are fighting for that little space in your backyard. It's all spaces. I mean, these are people fighting for something. That concept remains the same. Now, whether if the earliest stage we can put that in their mind, that this is something that, I mean, it's not alien to you. You know this, it's all around you. Not push it as some technical thing. Mediation is something which comes from these people who are certified and all. No, this is something which comes from people who have wisdom. There are wise people in your community, in your school. The children are wise, the wise children. Use them, get them out, and create that circle that I'm calling. Create that circle with them and experience it, because I think the main thing is experiencing it. And once you experience it, then you take it with you in whatever you do. Which was something, there was a session in mediation legislation, that symposium there was these Gabriela and Jimena from Ecuador. Ecuador's done a good job in terms of mediation, and it's not mandated through the court system, and still it's very popular, and it's being used by the government. Interestingly, they're talking about it being used in insolvency cases. So there's a lot of work in mediation happening. And the important thing that she was saying was that people were made to experience it, and once they experienced it, they took it forward. And that's what we have to do, rather than on the other side, not will have them experience it in a way which for me is not mediation. If you talk about in the courts and all, that mediation is of course done on your head settlement. It costs you so much, it takes so much time, so why don't you settle? And if they experience that, they're never going to go out and say good things about mediation. So mediation doesn't take off. So there's a problem in the way it's developing, and has developed for so many years. And we, of course, have the judiciary sitting there. They have a vested interest, so they were never going to let it go. But I am saying it has to be totally out of that. It is a people's process. Take it there. Don't connect it with the courts. Don't connect it with free. Let people value the mediator. And that's where the movement takes off. So that's what you people also have to work with me on, Anna. Seville?
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
I am so ready because, you know, I've been to Mexico talking with people that talk about mediation, and they just put so much the courts together that I'm like, no, get away from that. But they say, how do you do that? You can't do that. You have to connect it with the law. You have to be a lawyer to be a mediator in Mexico. And so it's like, no, you really, it's different teachings, you know, it's a different teachings. You really have to be good at taking your hat of a lawyer to be a mediator. And that is not easy, you know.
But Anna, you're talking to Seville. In Turkey, you have to be a lawyer to be a mediator.
In civil, but tell me if it's not true, Seville, that when you're a lawyer, you're thinking of defending, is that right? And when you put the hat of a mediator, you have to do a switch and saying, okay, you know, we're not going to, we don't have to suggest as much, we don't have to push as much, we have to let go. And isn't it true? I mean, it is hard.
Mindset is really different. You have to change it, put on some different hats. I think they are two different professions, but I also value the knowledge of law as well. At least for Turkey, I think some legal understanding is required, should be required, because there is quite an important part of it legal as well, because the documents that you prepare in the end is a legal document, and you cannot just leave it to the parties, and whatever they write is generally not enough. You have to have some knowledge there, but being a lawyer is definitely not enough for it. You have to change that mindset, leave it behind. Then you may start as a lawyer, but then just leave that behind and become something else when you become a mediator.
Well, I'll tell you, again starting me off on a topic which, of course, I have lots to say about. The problem starts with, of course, that's why I had that symposium on colonization, decolonization, and mediation. It starts with that colonial mind that disputes are resolved in courts, and lawyers have to be part of it. And I've spoken so much about this in that, and I mean, I've been saying this a lot, and that's where the issue starts from. Then out of that whole dispute resolution, okay, let's see some other method, or mediation is there, but lawyers have to be controlling it. So lawyers are controlling it in countries. There is that feeling that you have to have a knowledge of law in terms of mediation. Someone has misunderstood mediation totally. It is, I mean, I'll explain this in this very simple manner, that if two people sit together and you have a third person comes in, very nice, three people are sitting together and they are coming out with a certain solution. These are supposed to be people who are reasonable people. Let's start with that they have, I mean, they're having a reasonable conversation and they settle it in a certain manner. Now, if reasonable people sit together and settle something, the law should support it, because law is supposed to be reasonable, and reasonable people have to sit together and make the law. That's how laws are made. I mean, you just, of course, elect someone to do it, but these are people who look at it in a very just way, an equitable way, a reasonable way. Why should the law go against you if you have, in a very reasonable way, settled something? So law will support it. It should support it. And if it doesn't support it, then challenge that law. That's what I'm saying. But doesn't matter. In certain situations, you need an expert on law. Bring the lawyer in as an expert on law. Similarly, you have other experts required. Bring those experts in. Don't let the lawyers think that in some way law is the only thing which is happening in that. By even endorsing the fact that lawyers have to be part of the process, you are saying it is about the legal rights. Goes against the basic concept of mediation. It's not about rights. That's where it starts from. So these are misunderstanding of the process. Problem that has happened is that lawyers control the dispute resolution process. Dispute resolution is lawyers' stronghold. Now, they are not going to let it go. So to appease lawyers, countries said, not a problem. Only lawyers can be mediators. In Greece, they say that lawyers have to be sitting in that meeting if you have to go to a mediator. But that is, of course, you have to have a certified mediator, and lawyers sit in that. If you want that document to have that enforceability as a court decree. In the US, the lawyers control the process. So we just have to break out of it. You have to break out of that total mindset that everything is not about lawyers and courts and the law. These are two people who want to settle it in a certain manner. Where is the law coming into you? You owe me $1,000. I will pay you after 3 months. Do we need a lawyer to sit and tell us that? This is our understanding. It's just, I mean, this is a very simple example. Same thing goes up to even more, complex matters. Finally, it is commercial understanding. Commercial understanding is not the lawyer's domain. Maybe you might have a finance person to come into it. You might have a business person to come into it. There are different kinds of people, and there are technical projects. You have an architect coming in, a valuer coming in, you have a civil engineer coming in, you have a surveyor coming in. There are people don't understand the process. There is some basic lack of understanding, and this is what we have to push out there. And today, countries are creating issues for us by doing this whole thing, lawyers being involved in it. But Anna, why are we going into this discussion? Your discussion. We keep moving out of your discussion.
but I want to continue with what you were saying, because from my point of view, when I have a couple that comes pro se, no lawyers involved, and they get divorced, and I tell them, I write this memorandum, but you need to ask a lawyer for counsel if you want to, but you don't have to. You can read online what the laws say about Utah law and whatever, if you want to look at the law. But let's say you want to pay more child support. I have to calculate as a mediator the child support. That's the only thing that I do with the courts. Other than that, the couples decide. It was very interesting to see a case that I had this week where they decided that the children would stay in the home and the parents will be the traveling parents. They decided that. I've never seen that in any other case with lawyers or without lawyers. And the people just make the solution for themselves. And it's a magnificent decision. Why? Because the economy right now in the United States doesn't, when they have a home, the prices went up, the interest went up in the United States than 2 years ago. So people cannot go buy a house and sell a house that has low interest. They want to keep that house. So if you work with the people, they do a better decision than if they go to court. If they go to court, they would have asked them to sell the house. And so it would not have been a good decision for this couple. But in mediation with no lawyers, they suggested that to me. And I'm like, I never heard of that one. But then we discussed the scenario and the money. And we were like, oh, it works. The children stay in the house the whole time and parents will go every other week back and forth. It worked for them. So I think mediation gives the people the freedom to choose what they really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they're reasonable people, they're equitable people, they're fair people, they will come out with, like I said, the law will support it, has to support it. There is no other way.
Right.
If it doesn't, it means that the ones who made the law were not reasonable people. They were not fair people. But we have lots of people who are putting comments there. Let's get them into the discussion. So I'm sending the link to, okay, Tracy, I'm sending the link to you. Please join. And let's see, there's who else is there. If they're still there, Pooja was there, but she has to go somewhere for dinner. Erin is there. Erin, I'm sending you the link. Please join the discussion if you can, if you're still there, because people put their comment and then sometimes leave. Let's get them in, because the problem with me is that you've taken me into a direction which I can go on. I have my views on this. And for me, development of mediation hasn't happened only for this reason, because it's been controlled by people who have no reason to be part of it only. So that part of it, we need to have a lot of debate on. But now let's just look at it from the United Nations. Okay, Yolanda is there, but I don't think I can send her a message. Let me see. Okay, I sent the message. So But each of those, you're of course looking at only in your topic marital mediation, but on all the various goals, mediation can definitely come in each of those goals. So I mean, it's quite a, of course, that's a proper discussion by itself. But I think we have to look at all those goals and see where all mediation fits in, how it can be fit into it. That was this whole idea of the World Mediation Circle and creating circles, was that all these goals that are there, now you have to have a local kind of implementation of things, and you have a global one. Now you have to connect all of them together. So to connect that, you have to have the larger circle that everyone's part of, but then things happening at the local level also. Each of those things. I mean, look at the concept of poverty. I mean, poverty is, of course, everywhere. It's not that it's only in, so we call those countries developing countries, and poverty is there. Poverty is there in the US. You will see the homeless there also. So it's not that poverty is not country based. It's, I mean, it's a situation which needs to be handled everywhere.
It's global. Yeah, it is in every country. And I think I agree with you a lot that, you know, the United Nations is only one part of this world. Well, I would like to see where there is an organization that includes every single one person from every country, you know?
World Mediation Circle, Anna.
Yeah, so there you go. In the World Mediation Circle, I think, do you have all the countries covered, Vikram?
Look, I have to count that. Look, we had 45 countries, like I said in the first symposium. Then countries got added in various other events. So I haven't put the whole list out, but I will definitely put it out there. If not there, we'll get them in, but without any vested interests being part of it. And Yolanda's here. Yolanda was watching and she had some comments to make. Yes, Yolanda, some comments on the topic? Lip reading is not my forte, but it'll help if it will help. Yes, she's almost there. One click to that button which says that lip reading is not what we have to do. How do we?
Yeah,
go
you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, now she's there.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, is it working now?
Yes.
Oh, so sorry. Oh, okay. That's the next course I'm doing. Lip reading.
Yes. Lip reading is, I think that it really work for all of us. Language goes out of the picture. So
I think so.
Let's say hi to Tracy Lee also. Hi, Tracy.
Yes,
Yolanda. Yolanda was making
Vikram,
a comment.
Hi, Tracy. I'm from South Africa. And in South Africa, it's not just limited, becoming a mediator is not just limited to lawyers. I myself I'm a rehabilitated lawyer. I'm not practicing anymore. Mediation has really transformed not only the way that I see the law, but also my life. And I couldn't continue to practice to litigate after I really got the concept of mediation. And I love what you say, Vikram, and in the example that Anna used now as well. It is, if that specific example that you used, if that was in a court in South African law, it never would have worked. It wouldn't even have been an option. However, because we are not talking about rights, we are not going back to that system where we require lawyers to be part of it. So I love, or one of the things that I love most about mediation is that we have such a vast array of possibilities, and that we can look at each and every case, and the people involved can come up with what really works for them, as opposed to going to court.
Absolutely. Now, only thing
I think it's human, isn't it? It's being human.
Yes.
But what I was wanted to point out to Yolanda was that Tracy Lay, whenever she's also from South Africa, and whenever she comes in, there's always someone from South Africa there. So, no, but I think that this is something that.
Sorry, I didn't hear Tracy Lee's comment.
Tracy Lee hasn't made a comment. Tracy Lee, have you made a comment?
Okay.
She hasn't. She's
No, I didn't make a comment yet. Hi, Yolanda. Hi,
Hi,
Vikram.
Tracy.
Well, first of all, Anna, thank you very much. It was really interesting on the marital mediation. Agree, Yolanda, with everything that you've said. I think that agree too that there is a need for us not to place mediation into criminal justice or a civil mediation setup. The difficulty for me though is that when you have clients that are wanting to enforce rights, and I think that that's where the law comes in. So we can, in South Africa, in the family law arena, because that's my jurisdiction, first as an attorney and now full-time mediating, but we can do whatever is deemed what the parties want, and for children there's still the best interest standard. The difficulty though that I've encountered is when you have one party who actually doesn't embrace the spirit of mediation. And I think that's where the law then comes in, because they're demanding the enforcement of their rights. They are demanding that there is an agreement that will stand the test of time, that if they need to go to courts, it can be enforced. And so I think that puts mediators into a difficult situation. Having said that, I do believe that mediation can always, outside of that example, take place out of a legal arena, but it's the clients that often put this beautiful process into something where people then say we need confidentiality to be, we need acts that protect mediators and the confidentiality. We need to have certain rules and limitations. So I don't know if that adds to the conversation, but I'm just seeing it from a different perspective of why we sometimes can't keep it completely out of that legal arena.
Tracy, I think what I need to understand from what you said was that there is no enforceability of the settlement agreement. Is that the issue that comes up? I mean, that's why they want a decision of the court. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying no, sorry, Vikram. So what I'm saying more is that sometimes it's that clients are actually wanting the agreements to have the enforceability of the court. So mediators are coming in and we're saying to them, you don't even need like a parenting plan. So Anna, you would have that in the States. We've got a parenting plan and that's fine. Take that document, you've spoken through it, sign it, and then let it gather dust. Carry on co-parenting. You don't need to take this any further. However, where you have a delinquent party on the other side, they may well say, this is the start for something more. And I think, so Vikram, my sense is that mediation should not be operating within a legal system. It is not even an adjunct. It's a system on its own. In South Africa, we've always had the tribal of elders, and our ex-president Nelson Mandela created that for Africa. So that's within the very ethos of the African continent's culture.
Yeah.
However, our difficulty becomes when you have that party on the other side. Then you need the law, because there's bad faith negotiating. But that's just my sense.
No, I think
And
yeah. Well, okay, after you. I just wanted to clarify to her, because they talk about Africa and they, of course, talk about the elders and all that. I have done those symposia I did on indigenous peoples and mediation in our culture and traditions. We have to be very careful on this, because a lot of times what happens is in certain parts, these elders are doing arbitration. They're not doing mediation. The people go to them and they are told what to do. And what happens is, if we tell people that mediation is what the elders do, they are going to connect it with the process where they are told what to do. And that goes against mediation. And not just in Africa, this happens in India, it happens in other parts of the world, that very casually there is a connection with traditions. And that tradition has to be gone into. You have to be very careful about this, because once that term is connected to something which for them is arbitration, it'll go totally against the process, and they will never be able to connect to what you want them to. So it's better to have that little conversation with them and tell them, this is what it is. No one is going to tell you what to do. No one's going to impose anything on you. It is your solution. Sorry, Anna, please.
And you know, going from what you're saying, Vikram, and what you were saying, Tracy, is so true. If you explain to them, because that has happened to me, where one has defaulted on parenting time and they're just sick and tired of that, and they go, I'm going to take him to court. So the judge tells him and gives him a really good spanking so that he can come and do his parenting time. But what I have done in my mediations, is sometimes it does not go well for certain people, but I tell them what Vikram was saying, you know, just talk to them one more time and say, you know what, you're going to court. The judge is going to decide for you. You're here. You have the power to decide or not. And then put a stipulation on the bottom that says, if you do not abide by the rules or do not come and get your children, then you would have to go to court, or you would have to pay this penalty for the parent, you know, more child support or some type of penalty. But yeah, sometimes people just want the judge to tell them because they don't want to make a decision. Or sometimes people are so strong-headed and default on parenting time that the other party's tired, that they need somebody to tell them, you know, the law to tell them. And that's where I see that they go to court. But I think, but you know, explain in the United States, if you come to mediation, it's so private that it doesn't go on Google and it doesn't go on your credit report. So for a lot of people, that is a plus. If you I educate them and say, you know what, if you come to divorce, it's 100% private. It does not affect your credit report. It does not affect your job hunting, you know, because nobody's going to see that you got divorced. You go to court and it's another story. They'll be able to read everything. And so I think sometimes we have to educate our own clients to let them know what are the benefits of it. But I agree with you, Tracy, that sometimes, you know, there is just so much neglect, and, you know, they don't want to abide by what they agreed in mediation or what they want to do together, that they have to go with somebody to tell them. And sometimes even if they go to court, they don't do what they're supposed to be doing because there's just the way that that person is.
But I still want to go back to Tracy Lay and clarify. I know, because I'm still trying to understand where you were coming from. The law in some parts of the world, say in India, the settlement agreement is as good as a court decree. I mean, is that an issue in South Africa? Is your settlement agreement not as good as a court decree? So that's one issue which I'm saying the legislation should have. Our legislation, it is confidential. The whole process is confidential by law. You don't have to have an agreement separately. That if you just have to do it under that law, so confidentiality protected. The mediator cannot be called in as a witness. Obviously, everything else that happens in the mediation is confidential. Then beyond that, it is without prejudice by law. So I'm just saying that legislation takes care of all this. Is that something which you were talking about, that lawyers point out that they need to go to court for because these aspects are not covered? Is that it? Or in general, you were saying that they just want a decision of the court? I mean, in that way, are you saying it? I just wanted to understand.
The latter. Yes, the latter.
That's that why it's a discussion which I felt that someone would come out with that topic as to why is mediation not so popular, and these issues about how people want someone else, like Anna says, someone else to decide for them. Those, I mean, what are the psychological issues which come up for people not to take up mediation? I think we should have a discussion on that. Or what are the factors?
Yeah.
Why has it not been? Why is it not popular? Can we just have that as a topic? Why is mediation not popular? Just simple. Keep it like that.
And you know, Vikram, just to even add another related to that, why are the lawyers or attorneys gatekeepers in
Yeah,
that mediation
that's what
process?
exactly
Because
what we're
Yolanda,
discussing.
yeah, you know, Yolanda, I don't know if you experience in it. So mediation is still relatively new in South Africa from a legislative. So in family
Yeah.
law, it really was with a change in our children's law that actually just opened the floodgates where there was this recognition. We need mediation. We've been doing it, but there was never this big thing about mediation. But I don't know, Yolanda, if you find in it, but it's so difficult because clients will phone and they'll say, my attorney has said that mine is not a matter that can be mediated. Or alternatively, after the mediation, taking it back to the attorney, which we always want because they have the right to get their legal advice on what they're signing. But it's my attorney says I can get better. My attorney's not happy with this agreement. And it's like, well, but that's the agreement that the two of you were without prejudice saying you would want to be bound by. So attorneys are definitely gatekeepers, and we've got to get around that gate.
Yeah, because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
in the like I've had so many of these discussions. Like I just feel I'm repeating myself a little too much. But right from that symposium 2 years back, I kept pointing out from what speakers told me and otherwise that lawyers control the process in the US, and
Yes.
people for some reason want to look at US as the model for mediation. Oh, it was something which was started there and they did very well and it's doing very well. Just go dig a little deeper. And this was something that I kept saying throughout that symposium. Imagine 97 sessions. I think all of them I said, dig a little deeper. Don't take it on face value. What is happening inside there? One, of course, lawyers controlling it. Is it really mediation happening there? Are they or just settlement conferences happening there? Then what is the status of the mediator? In the court system, these lawyers get these mediators appointed, and these mediators get nothing. The lawyers make their money. The mediators do it for free, thinking that the lawyers will recognize them and give them private work. They get no private work from them. They get disillusioned, move out. Another lot comes into the court system, gets disillusioned, walks out. The new people keep coming in. That Ponzi scheme goes on. New people keep coming in, but at the end of the day, mediation suffers. So this is something we need to put out there, because countries, while legislating, also sometimes pick up models from other countries. And you just look at what is happening there rather than just take up something which is you just told that yes, this is something which has been implemented in this country. What vested interest got those implemented? Vested interest today, Anna, is the keyword. Keywords, vested interest. But there are institutions who are trying to get legislation into countries saying that before going to court, go into mediation through these institutions. Can you imagine? Of course, South Africa is still a small country. Imagine in India, if all these matters which go into courts have to go through certain institutions which someone else will appoint. Look at the corruption part of it once, and look at the aspect of what you're doing to mediation, and then they decide who those mediators are going to be, how those people are going to be certified. So you've created an industry, a training industry, a certification industry. You've created institutions. Don't let that happen to mediation. It's not going to work. It doesn't work for mediation the way I want mediation to develop. Settlement conferences, please do it. Let lawyers control the process. That is what they're doing. How much can you fight the lawyers? I mean, I'm a lawyer. You are a lawyer. I think of course, Seville is also. Anna, are you a lawyer?
No,
Good.
no.
Stay that way. Stay that way.
Yeah.
Because you'll have to unlearn everything that we started off with litigation, and then we said this is not where it has to be. So,
Yes. I'm a mediator that have been practicing almost 2 decades, but what you were saying, Vikram, is so true. I think we have to promote private practice mediation, private practice mediation with non-lawyer mediations, because, it brings something different. And of course, lawyers, in Utah, when we meet as mediators, there's a lot of people like Tracy that have come to a mediation practice full time. As a lawyer, they don't practice anymore law. And so I think we have to promote, private mediation and promote to the people that this is a different entity. Like I think one of you were talking about, if we put it as a different entity, you can go with a lawyer or you can go with mediation, but it is not together. And you will get a really good result and promote the good results.
The way I'm look, this is the vision. I mean, the vision obviously is there, and implementation has to happen at the local level. These circles. My concept is that you have a global pool, you have a database. Anything happens, any issue, let's call a mediator is what you have to do. And of course, online you can have a person from anywhere in the world. Legislation should not come in the way for me appointing anyone as my mediator wherever in the world that person is. So that part of it can leave control on who that mediator can be. The countries have to, legislation has to let go of that. Because it is my dispute, I can decide. You're not going to tell me from this limited pool I have to pick up people. I trust. It's all about trust. And I've been saying this so long that is the key word. The certifications, accreditations, trainings, that the industry that's been created, it's not going to help. It hasn't helped. There was that symposium, 18,000 certified accredited mediators in the UK, and 500 have work. That industry did not help mediation. It helped the people who were just give me 1 second, Seville. So as I said, legislation should not control that. Pick up whom you want. And for everything, I'm going down to one interesting ones that I came up with was tourism related mediation circle. You are traveling to another country, you have an issue with your hotel, you just go into that database, call up a mediator comes in, resolves it. You're in a new country, you are not going to go to the police, you're not going to go to a lawyer, you don't have all that. So you have these people, but people with that mediator mindset have to be identified and brought into that database. And that's what the World Mediation Circle is. I'm just giving you the thought behind it. I'll give you one example of the tourist part of it. Yes, Seville, please.
So I feel that I have to say that I don't agree completely with you here, because I know all the deficiencies and I know all those certification programs and training programs are really not enough for many things, but still they are something, I would say. Those certifications still add something to the people. They are still valuable, and at least they show that that person is really willing to do something. You're giving your time, you're giving your money to get those certifications. Even that shows that you want to do it. You're willing to give something for this purpose. And in time, you really gain and learn some skills from those trainings. And if you don't have those certifications, and if you allow everybody to do it, in Turkey, this is where we are coming to. We have some 50,000 mediators. And it's getting easier and easier to become and to get that title, mediator, as a title. And people cannot decide. They really cannot find you. They really cannot know who does it well or who does it bad. And bad examples are getting a lot more. And people are getting annoyed with mediation because they get bad experiences with it. I still think that those mediation certificates still have some value in it, so that they can bring that pool, decrease that pool to the ones they want to do it really. And I think that legal knowledge is important. As I said, in the end, that document has the value of a court verdict, and it is enforceable. For payment mediations, I agree. Psychology may be even more important than legal knowledge. Knowledge in psychology is more important than that in payment mediation, I think. But in, for example, some commercial mediation, people may be talking something, but they mean something else. In legal terms, it is something else, and they say it in a different way. When they write it down as a document, they don't realize that they are not writing it properly. And there aren't always lawyers. Even if there are lawyers, the mediator should be there in a way to help it to be written in the proper way. I mean, but you should have a beginning knowledge, legal knowledge, and you should show that you had some trainings in this. I think it is important to show that certification, but it is not enough. It is just the beginning. I always say that mediation should become a separate profession.
Now you have to let me come in, because after you can't speak for so long on this topic where I really want to jump in. I really want to jump in. I'll tell you why. Seven, you are proving the point which I am saying. In Turkey, they decided that they will have this certification program, and they have the program. Today, you are criticizing that program. You are saying that program has created mediators who are not doing their work properly. You are proving that point that I'm saying, that you have those mediators that you have in the program went through a certain training, and they were given some exam. They gave an exam and they were certified as mediators. Today, you are not happy with those mediators. You are trying to say that exam.
Three different models, and there are mediators that don't go through training but still can do it.
But is that you have a problem with only those, and the other ones you're okay with? Because I'm telling you this, we will go on.
I agree. The trainings are not sufficient.
Trainings will never be sufficient. Let me tell you, Savil, this will never be enough ever in the world, because you can't create a mediator mindset in a factory. 40 hours, 100 hours, 500 hours, you can't do it. Mediator mindset comes from within. And if you have the mediator mindset, only then will people have a good user experience. If they don't have a good user experience, they will criticize it, and you will say that, oh, the negative things coming against mediators, because you decided I will make a mediator in a factory. That factory is the one that's making the money. That's the money making racket. You can't make that. If you could make mediators in factories, forget all other training programs, forget all education. For the next 1 year, only give that 40 hours to the world, and let maybe some good things will come out of that. It's not going to happen that way. Mediator mindset cannot be put in. So that's something which is clear. But other thing that you are talking is, Seville, the lawyer is saying that it is a legal document. It has to be put in some way. Why don't we understand that we can bring in a lawyer for that? A lawyer doesn't have to be part of the process for that. There is a difference in understanding of the process and what comes out of the process. Settlement agreement is something which comes out of it. You can get a lawyer to draft it properly. You are saying it's a document goes into court. We should not go to court, first of all. It should be between them and finished. But if it has to be enforced, these people have agreed on it. They bring in Seville as the lawyer, not the mediator. They give Seville the lawyer. Come in, we've done a mediation. This is what we've agreed upon. Please put it in a format. Why don't lawyers understand? They're supposed to be experts on the law. When it is, and maybe drafting, maybe chat GPT might be doing better drafting. Monday's artificial intelligence might be doing better drafting. But okay, lawyers today think that yes, they are good at, they're experts in this. Bring them for that. What does that have to do with the process? I still am trying to figure that out. How does that, my legal document which has to come out of this, out of the mediation, has to be in a certain format, so I should have a lawyer sitting in the mediation? I mean, it just doesn't sound logical to me. I mean, if you have to, this is something that lawyers are pushing into, and that's the colonial mindset which we're not being able to get out of. Yes, Yolanda.
Vikram, I'm sorry if you've explained this already, but when you say a mediator mindset, question number one, what are you referring to? And then number two, how do we get, if you are saying, you know, we're not gonna, we don't create factory mediators, how are we going to ensure that worldwide we have at least similar standards? So, for example, if we're talking about confidentiality without prejudice, the mediator not being called as an expert witness, how do we ensure that all of those things are similar, at least in different jurisdictions?
Look, this is why I had that symposium on mediation legislation to discuss this. That, look, finally, that legislation that is created, we have today, of course, a model law that the UNCITRAL has put out. India adopted the UNCITRAL conciliation rules of 1980. Have a look at what we've done. Simple, very simple law, very easy to understand. You don't need a lawyer to explain the law to you. It's a process-wise thing. How do you appoint a conciliator? We call it conciliation only because in 1980, UNCITRAL was calling it conciliation. Today, they have clarified that we are now using the word mediation because that word has become popular. There is no difference between conciliation and mediation. And this change in terminology has no substantive effect at all. This is just a change in terminology. So it's clear. Okay, we call it conciliation. So appointing the conciliators put out there in a very simple manner, explaining to people. Now think of it from 1980 perspective. In 1980, they wanted to explain to people what mediation is. I'm using the word mediation. Of course, it's called conciliation at that time. Explain to them how the process happens. Now, whether they needed to put it there or not, you don't have to put it in the law, but they put it there so that people would understand, and that is relevant even today. We're in 2023. Have a look at what those conciliation rules were, which we adopted, and we have a legislation on that. Have a look at it. It explains everything in a simple manner. Exactly the fact that the conciliator may propose something, so that this whole issue is evaluative, facilitative, that we keep confusing the user, goes out of the way. It may suggest. Now that is for the people in that dispute to decide whether they want to take that suggestion or not. It's very clearly put there, but it's all put there so that no one can confuse people saying that this process, the facilitative, evaluative, and all that they keep doing. So very nicely put there. So that is in terms of legislation. Keep it simple. Whoever you want to appoint as your conciliator, mediator in that case, whatever. There also I have my theory on whether we need 2 words or not, which of course I'll get into. But okay, let's keep it for mediation right now. So appoint whoever. Wherever in the world that mediation happens, it should be enforceable in your jurisdiction. Today we have the Singapore Convention. Singapore Convention is such a good, I mean, we've put out something there which says that you can do that mediation even in a country which hasn't signed the convention, and it is enforceable in a country which has ratified it. So can you imagine? That's the legislative. We don't even need the Singapore Convention. Every country should enforce a settlement agreement wherever in the world those people have got into it. We don't even need that. Everyone should do it. A domestic legislation can take care of it. You don't even have to say that there's a Singapore Convention. That's the way it should have been, because there is some lack of understanding, maybe. I don't know what. Why are we wanting to control the person whom 2 people have trusted? Why? Who are we to trust? We do this. This is, again, I'm going to use that word, colonial mindset. We are going to decide whom you go to. We will tell you whom to trust. We will tell you whom you should sit with. That's a colonial mindset which people are sitting with, and they are even accepting it. So that change of mindset. Now then comes the aspect of how do we, I mean, this whole mediator mindset that I'm saying, it's so simple. Today, through WhatsApp, emails, wherever, just send one question out to all your friends, relatives, colleagues, everyone. Just ask them, do you know anyone who helps people resolve their dispute? Let me keep it as simple as that. Just send a question out. Let's see what answers we get. They will give us names. We'll call them into a Zoom meeting. Someone has experienced, we don't want to use the word mediation. We just say someone who helps you settle your disputes, or you know someone. We will ask the people who have used that process, what did they go through? We'll ask the person who did the process what they do. You will hear everything about mediation. All your training programs and everything, they can only put theory to this practice. They will tell you everything about it. They know everything about mediation, except when you put the word mediations, they start thinking, oh, this is some technical thing they're talking about. They disconnect. Don't let them disconnect. Don't even use that word. Whatever that local understanding of that word is, we'll use that word. But that question goes out, we identify those people. Those people are going to come from the user itself. People say that, okay, certifications and trainings we are doing so that the user gets a good experience. When we start from the user, that the user is telling us we've had a good experience with this person, everything else taken care of. Now, Seville says skill development. Okay, I've put out more than 600 videos. And we've talked about topics which training programs of 40 hours do not do. neutrality. I keep giving this example of neutrality. One symposium only on neutrality, whether the mediator should be neutral or not. And very casually we say, use the word neutral. So yeah, let's discuss it. That's by itself can be 40 hours of discussion. So to say that we will put you through a training program where we will tell you mediator has to be neutral, and we will send you out into the world. Now, this is what you will keep telling the world also. Well, why confuse? First of all, does the user even understand neutrality? Are we going to first educate the user for 40 hours to make them understand what neutrality is? So why use words which then we have to further explain to people? Trust is good enough. According to me, trust is good enough. Whomever you trust. When you use the word impartiality, then there is a debate on whether the mediator is impartial or omnipartial or multi-partial. Why use words that we have to further explain? I mean, let's just keep it simple for the user. So I think we've tried to, of course, I mean, there is an academic world, which is the only world which actually is doing things in relation to mediator. The academic world, the training industry, those are the people who are talking about it. The user has been totally left behind. Let's not even talk to the user. Within ourselves, we're happy. We are doing our other worlds. We are arbitrators, mediators, litigating lawyers. We are doing everything. So let's come into a discussion. We enjoy our discussions on mediation. Very nice. Where is the user? We don't know. There might be somewhere there. We'll talk to the user later. So I think let's focus on the user. Let's talk to them about whom they have around them. Who are those people in their community, even down to the school level. Let's talk to the children. I've spoken to children. Look, I can't do all the work. The problem is I needed people who would do it further. But now I realize that mediators themselves don't have time to take it further. So this is about 2.5, 3 years, at least back. I said, my 1,000 reach 1,000. That's all I said. There's 1 million people out there. That's all we need. 1,000 people reach 1,000 people. But it did not happen. I tried to get those 1,000 together, but that further level is not going to happen. So now I have to find ways to reach people directly, which I call peacemakers. I'm going to identify the peacemakers who will take it up in the communities. They will identify the mediators for me, people with the mediator mindset. I'll have to do that. And of course, the mediators will be part of it. They will come in wherever they will support, because I was saying this is good for the mediators, because I'm creating this whole, I mean, it's like an army of people, peacemakers who are going there, identifying the mediators, they're identifying people who are in dispute, and they need maybe more experienced people. Okay, at the community level, they have someone, but what about certain complex matters and someone has been practicing for 25 years and has been doing only this? Why not? This is yours. You'll get work from them. So it was good for everyone, but I don't know, this next step did not happen. We'll see how it goes. So that's
So
my
Vikram, how do you propose when two parties are in conflict or in dispute? How do you propose them getting to an agreement in respect of a person?
Look, that's what I'm trying to put out, that today we have to start somewhere. Like for a moment, I'm saying that mediation is not something that they know about as the technical word. We're starting from scratch. Starting from scratch, look at where is it going to happen? It's going to happen in a community, maybe. Let's look at it. They're part of a community. Are we creating that whole space where people identify those people whom they can trust? That space is not available. So today we are putting it out there, that who are those people? Once those people are out there, how we communicate that to people? Like I said, that database is available now. It's only them looking at that, being comfortable with the person, trusting the person, and these people will come out from their communities and they will know those people. Because if there is one set of people who have used someone in some way for a mediation, definitely that person is going to be someone that if I talk to, I just generally ask someone, okay, do you know this person? They'll give them all the best report about that person. So it's going to be a report which will come from the community, within the community, word of mouth. Let's just look at it, simple terminology, word of mouth. It's going to be a word of mouth aspect, and it's going to be from people who are being used today out there. It's going to be putting those people out. However, look, this platform that I have done, I'm identifying people around the world, I'm bringing them out. Similarly, I wanted my 1,000 to do the same thing in their space. So they will put them out. They'll have their videos out there. People will be able to identify them, because to trust someone, you need more than just a certification. Let me tell you, it's very clear. Certifications are not helping anywhere. Trust comes from a lot of factors. It could be listening to someone, referring someone, whatever way it's going to happen. But trust is going to happen in a lot of other ways. And it's someone's dispute, they're not going to appoint anyone as a mediator. It's not going to happen. Or the process will not go on properly if you don't trust the person, or and the trust in the process will also come from the trust in the person. So let's identify these people, let's put them out there, and people can definitely find their own as we go along. They will keep identifying people, they will keep putting them out, and we'll have a large database. I'm telling you, it's easily available, it's easy to put out there. It's just that little conversation that has to be had, and they will find them within the local space or national space or international space, wherever they have to. I don't know whether that answers your question, but I am saying that it is going to be easy to trust when it comes from the community itself. And then, of course, depending on the dispute, one is a local thing, one is a more complex matter. So trust will come when Vikram puts them out in the World Mediation Circle. That's when trust will come. That's what I'm hoping.
I need to go.
I
need to go. I have a case coming up, and so I got to get ready.
Thank you, Anna.
But
Thank you so much, Anna.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining in. And it was nice to meet you, Jolanda and Tracy and Seville.
Thank you.
And
The only
it's
thing
nice
It was
to
lovely.
Yeah. And the only thing we didn't do was we didn't discuss your topic. That's the only thing we didn't do, but maybe some other time.
Well, I discussed a little bit at the beginning, and I think that's enough. I think it is a big thing that they're proposing, and it is good to look at it, but I don't know how far they're going to get.
No, because the thing is that the things that you picked up from there are things which I have to discuss. United Nations itself has to be discussed. And
Right.
then downwards, everything else we do too. But we look at the goals. You go right now, but the mediation circles in relation to the goals are also going to be created. So be part of all that. Lots of activity to happen. And please attend all the other sessions. Zoom link is the same. Please come in. You've got the schedule. Lots of interesting topics out there.
I really like all your comments. I really like your individuality for this. And it was great. Thank you, Vikram, for inviting me. Invite me again.
You're invited. Of all the sessions you're invited. Please stand up. Please stand up.
Let's promote mediation. Let's promote private mediation. Let's promote paid mediation, so that, like you say, Vikram, the people that feel they have that mediator mindset will join. Yeah. All right. Well, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Anna. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
As well.
So what happened?
Unfortunately, I need to go as well. Thank you. I like sometimes disagreeing and mostly agreeing.
Yeah, you will agree with me. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe day after. You will agree with me, because this is whatever I'm saying is based on conversations, understanding, digging deeper. All that has happened. And finally, look, the point is either I can have a vested interest and I can say I want to create a certification program. Then I will totally agree with you and I'll keep doing that. Instead, what I'm doing is let me put out as much content for people, free, available to people out there, so that no one says that, oh, this is this training you have to go to. Suddenly there will be enlightenment which will come there. No, we'll put it out. The skill development project is being put into place, which I told you. We'll give them the best in the world in terms of content. Why should they be limited to? We don't know who those trainers are. Do you have any idea who those trainers are? Where have they come from? What is happening? We have no idea. Let's get the best in the world to do it. And you are going to be one of them, Seville. You are one of those people who are part of that skill development project. There's a negotiation aspect of it that you brought out today, we are going to cover that on a more detailed level, and people will come in. Whether they pay you, you want to charge, it's totally up to you.
No, not myself, but Mrs. Sultan, who was here, she's a trainer.
Okay.
Thank you, Vikram.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Seeing you on Wednesday. Then.
Take care.
Bye, Saval.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So
Thanks so
Yolanda,
much, Saval.
Yolanda, please participate in the other sessions.
I would love that, Vikram.
So I got a call. I need to reply for that.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Saval. Bye-bye. Lovely meeting you.
Seville is a wonderful person. When you listen to it, just her tone, it's amazing. So nice and calming. He puts it out there.
Bye-bye, Saval. Is Saval from Turkey, yeah?
Yeah, she's from Turkey. And
Yeah.
really
I
like her,
love
like
Turkey.
the way she goes about it. But Yolanda, please participate in the other sessions. There are so many of them. Have you had a look at the schedule or
Thank
not?
you so much for the Thank you so much for the invitation. I saw today and I was like, oh, I've got to make time for this. I really appreciate that, Vikram.
But
I'll
have you
definitely, I'll
have you
have a
looked at
look
the
at
entire
it.
schedule? Have you looked at the entire
No.
schedule? Oh, you haven't.
No, you've sent it. You've sent it through.
Oh, no one reads my posts. That's the problem. All my
Okay.
posts, I put that link.
I
No one
will
reads
go.
that. What do I do? Should I stop putting posts out there? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I put out everything, all the information out there.
Send it as a message.
You do realize that there'll be thousands of messages which I'll have to send out there. That's where the problem lies. So
No,
one-man army,
you-
one-man army out here.
No, one. You draft it as a post, but then you.
No,
Oh, the difficulty is having to tag everybody. Yeah.
exactly, because what I
Yeah,
what I
that's gonna
wanted
take
people to do,
forever.
I've actually put it out on my website. Simple steps that you have to take. Just
Yeah.
go to the profile. There's a bell icon on the profile. Click there, say that you want whatever posts I put, you'll get information.
Yes.
But okay, that's the other one I said. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon. You'll get to know when any session is scheduled. I put it out there. There's a newsletter which I take out. Subscribe to it. Make life easier for me so that I can do other things. Here I have to take too
I
much time.
promise.
You can imagine how
Thank
many
you,
sessions we
Vikram.
have. So
Thank
many
you.
sessions, and
Yeah.
put out posts and everything that happens. A lot of work to be done there.
Yeah. I want to you just reminded me of something. If I go to my resume, I have here as a career goal. My goal is to change the general negative perception of conflict through training and constructive experiences. While it's my dream to positively influence the moral and social fiber of our society by equipping every single high school learner in our country with effective dispute resolution skills, creating more complete, capable, and mindful future leaders. I want to see a world where every society, every sector, and business have access to trained, trusted conflict resolution practitioners and peacemakers with experience within their own communities, which I know will take years, as I'm still trying to convince people about the advantages of mediation.
It won't take years. I'm telling you, it won't take years. Only thing is, just please take out the trained word out of that. Everything else, No, I'll tell you, Yolanda. Let me tell you. All you have to do is go to your whatever nearest school that you have around your area. Just walk into that school, and you are doing nothing. You're not coming there to teach them nothing. All you're asking that whoever runs that school, I just want to ask these children one question: Who are those children in your school who help other children resolve their disputes? Just go there once. Trust me. You just go there and ask this question. They'll give you those names.
Yes.
Say that, look, I want to sit with these children. Nothing. I'm not coming there because the issue comes in when you say I'm going to train them or something. Then they say, what content?
Yes.
No, we don't know. Nothing to train. I just want to have a conversation with these children. So the children who have told you, yes, so and so has helped me or helped us resolve something, those children, and the ones they have pointed out as the ones who have told them or who've helped them, just sit with these children. Ask them exactly what happened. How did this person go about it? And ask the mediator, in this case, I'm calling that person a mediator. Ask them, what did you do? They will tell you everything about mediation. So we know that they know about mediation. Perfect. Done. only thing that we need to differentiate for them, which is why I put out that mediator and peacemaker aspect of it. There are children who bring children together. Say, no, don't fight, whatever the way they're going about it. But they don't have the skill of a mediator. They have the skill of a peacemaker. And both the skills are required. I mean, we can't have only one. So the ones who are peacemakers, we put them out as peacemakers. That these are children there who, if there is a fight, they come, they get them together, because everything is not about mediation. The fact is, if you can get people together and they can resolve it themselves, why do you need a third person to come in? So that's why the peacemaker is important. So the peacemaker brings them together. If they can't resolve it, then the mediator comes in. So we have to distinguish when your conversation with them, just ask them this aspect, that did this person actually, what did they do? When they tell you what they did, you'll know whether the person was a mediator or a peacemaker. So now you've got your mediators, you've got your peacemakers, you have your participants. Because if you read about my World Mediation Circle, I have put out these three categories. So the people who want to resolve it in an amicable manner, and those people who are the mediators and peacemakers. So you've, in that little school of yours, whichever is close to your place, when you've done this identification, now just tell them, in your school, you're creating a mediation circle. XYZ school mediation circle. Whoever wants to be part of it, everyone is not invited. In the sense, a general invitation, yes, everyone can't be part of it. That mindset is required, because if that space gets vitiated, that's going to go against the concept. What we are doing is we're creating a safe space where these children, one is resolving their disputes which are there, but a space where they actually have conversations, objective conversations. They can actually understand each other, which is within themselves first. And as you go along, other children will, of course, see this happening. They want to join this, but be careful who comes into it. It's because three things which you will hear, and you'll hear this a lot of my things, but I'm going to repeat it to you. Advocacy, politics, activism, let them have their spaces. There is enough happening there. There are enough vested interests there. A lot of money making happening there. Let that happen there. We're not concerned with that. Those three things don't become part of it, part of this. So these are spaces where conversations happen. These now might be issues within themselves. Then there'll be maybe issues with the school, whatever, management or administration or wherever these objective people are available, these conversations are available. And same thing happens. Same thing is going to be done in communities. Same thing will be done in organizations. We'll have to get these people, mediators, from there, because the number of disputes which are out there, there's too many. But then where does Yolanda fit in? The point is, if they are going to, what you are doing is you're creating those spaces, but you're also at the same time someone they see as someone who's creating something for them, not coming and then say, oh, I'm a mediator, give me work. No, you're creating a space, wanting them to do it within themselves, but available for maybe, I'm saying maybe more complex matters, but I'm sure they can also handle those. Wherever they need you, you come in. But you're, of course, if how you want to, I mean, we'll have to discuss whether monetization needs to be done or not. If there is some monetization which needs to be done, can be done. They can pay a certain amount to be part of that, because I am also looking at it how I want to do it, because I did put out there to be part of the World Mediation Circle, become a patron. Nothing happened there. So I'm also figuring out, no one wants to pay anything. So I've understood that how it has to work, whether we'll have organizations funding it. We might get organizations to fund it. So at a local level, say in your area, there might be a business who wants to promote themselves, and they can fund this project. So you get something, the children get something. But I want the mediators, they're not giving them cash, but they can get gifts because they have that mindset and they are valued. People should know they're valued. So we can get organizations to sponsor a circle. So that circle is sponsored by them. Of course, we have to be careful who sponsors it. We don't want alcohol companies to be sponsoring these circles. But we can get good reputed organizations who are, the organization should also be trusted. We have to be careful there also. So that can be done. I mean, various options can be created. So it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. So let's do it, Yolanda. Just let's do it.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. I really, really appreciate your advice, and I'll take that to heart. I am so grateful that I've received your invitation
Yeah, and
and
please,
that I've met you.
and Zoom link remains the same. Please drop in for other sessions. That schedule is out there.
I will do
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's a lot of topics there. I mean, lots of topics. I don't know whether, if you haven't seen the schedule, this is what it looks like. So we have
I
already
will go
done
and
these.
have a look.
Yeah, we've done all these. Of course, we reached only here. Today we've done this part.
Okay.
So then we have tomorrow, we have these coming up. So lots of topics. Okay, so have a look at the schedule. You find it on the.
I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you very much.
I will do
Pleasure meeting
that.
you.
Thank you so much, Vikram. You are so handsome.
Oh, thank you very much. Look, this is on record. Okay, this is on record. It's all live. It's all out there. So
This is a fact. So
thank you very much.
thank
And-
you so much, Vikram. Stay
and
well.
see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.